Hi everyone. Today we got a pretty choppy session. You can see in here very little changed on the day. We came up, tested resistance, broke down from there, and then finished basically flat with yesterday's price action. Still holding above the 200, still holding above the SMA on the RSI, but structurally this still looks like a topping pattern and you do have a lower high set up now. But let's take a quick look at the rest of the charts as we head into the Friday session.
Do me a quick favor and like and subscribe and watch the video till the end to help out the channel, and let's get started.
In news today, we got the Supreme Court insulating the Fed here. So they did have a ruling on Gwen Wilcox and Kathy Harris, which they said the president was able to fire those people, which was interesting. They still have court cases pending. However, they did say that they don't really believe that the president can actually fire people from the Federal Reserve. They did not explicitly bar it, but they said that it would face strong resistance, which was an interesting ruling. Either way, this should be good for markets. We want to see the FOMC continue to remain insulated from the executive branch, and this should support that at least a little bit, even if it wasn't a definitive ruling. Looking at fear and greed, we finished at a 66, flat from a 66, basically nothing changing here from yesterday. Every single metric is in that same zone. We did see volatility move up a little bit more, but again, still no changes on just about every metric from yesterday. I still believe this is going to continue to swing to neutral, which generally means that markets are going to go lower. Moving over to the economic calendar, you can see initial jobless claims slightly better than expectations, continuing jobless claims a little bit worse, global manufacturing PMI better than expectations, services PMI also better than expectations. So soft data a little better than expectations today. Fed balance sheet continues that roll off. It did kind of stabilize for a second, but now it's come back down. Tips were a little higher than expectations at 2.2 for the next 10 years. That's interesting considering that the last inflation read we got was super soft, but stepped up a little there for tips. And then for the Friday, all we have is new home sales. Not really expecting anything out of that. Then moving over to the charts here, just a quick look because it was fairly uneventful, but you can see we did throw a wick to that level and then reject from there. Finished basically unchanged, up only 23 cents. It gave some hesitations to the upside, but really nothing definitive. You can see the touch there, the rejection there. We did get above the 21 briefly. 200 still support, next level 578.87. Got the 144 there, waiting to see if this rolls down to that 569.90 area. That's where these trends are. You also have VWAP in that same area. Momentum fading RSI still a little bit bearish in my opinion. So either way, no change to yesterday's structure, and I am expecting this to go a little bit lower tomorrow. And then looking at the Tasty charts here, you can still see these bearish conditions. Your trailing stop right now, 586.56. We did get close to that level, sold off from there. You also got the 34 EMA in there. Continues to sell from that level. I thought we would sell a little bit more to this lowest band, but the 200 ended up holding us up there. And then looking at that 4-hour chart, we are still in bearish conditions from this move down yesterday. Obviously, trailing stop there, 595.63, didn't get anywhere near that. That's right above the high from this consolidation, expecting this to go at least to that lowest band, 576.77. Moving over to the Qs here, you can see very similar structure, up about $1. Did go a little bit higher mid-session than I would have expected, but could not get above that 9 EMA for any length of time. That was 516.91, rejected from there. Didn't get below that 509.74 level. Didn't even quite eclipse the low from yesterday. So inside candle, you can see that big outside reversal day from yesterday. Still expecting this to go lower here, at least a little bit. And then looking at the hourly chart, got below the 144. Held it for a while mid-session, but couldn't get above that 55 EMA, 517.58. Didn't even test it, and then we sold off pretty aggressively into the close on good volume. So still expecting this to go down to 509. Got the 200 still as support, but that'll eventually break, in my opinion, and then we're looking for that next zone around the 500 level. So we'll see. Right now, still consolidation, looking for a little bit more sells into the close tomorrow. Moving over to the Tasty charts here for the Qs, you can see the 4-hour still in bullish conditions. We did get close to that trailing stop, 509. That's the critical level that we have on the other charts as well, 509.02 on this chart. If we break through there, that's going to put us back to bearish conditions, but you can see here on the hourly, this is still bearish. You can see we came right to that trailing stop, 517.55, tested it 3 times here today and rejected from them. every single time. You still got the 144 hanging in there at 511.91. Tested that early in the session, bounced, and now we're getting close to that again. The price target in the short term is 507.75, that lowest ATR band based on this chart. Moving over to the Russell and the Dow, these continued to sell as you would expect, and then the Russell ended up bouncing, finishing only down 1 penny on the day. So he came down, tested the level, 201.88 as we expected. This is more along the lines of what I expected on the rest of the major indices, but we got it on the Russell, came down, tested the level, tested the 21, got a little bit of a bounce. Breakdown, retest of the trend line here. We'll see if this continues lower. For me, I still think we're going to go to 108.75 at least. Momentum bearish, RSI still bearish here, so clean, nice move up, structural breakdown. Do we get a little bit more bounce here before this goes? Potentially. The longer term structure is still bearish for me. And then looking at the Dow, similar thesis, went lower, bounced a little bit, finished up just 7 cents, still above that level. 418.38, closed above it yesterday, closed above it today. Even with the tests over the last 2 days, momentum bearish, RSI still bearish. Moving over to Apple and Microsoft. Apple continued to sell here. This still looks like a double top, still expecting this structure to break here. Momentum bearish, RSI bearish, down just 1/3%, almost tested the level, didn't quite touch it here. 199.54, the low of day was 199.70. You could call it a touch, maybe not. And then looking at Microsoft, eclipsed the high from that Monday session and then ended up selling, finishing up 0.5%, but a doji candle with the gap up. If it gets back below 453, then we're looking for a sell to 440. We'll see if that happens. Right now, momentum bearish, RSI super overbought and below the SMA, so wouldn't trade it to the bull side, at least for now. Looking for this to sell, but it hasn't broken structure yet. Moving over to staples and discretionaries, you can see staples continue to sell just a little bit down to that 81.18 level. That's what we expected after the 81.85 break. And then you can see discretionaries here caught a little bit of a bounce, nothing crazy. Momentum still bearish, RSI still bearish. Still hasn't touched that 210.43 level, but I do expect it to. And once it does go through there, I think we're going to go back to 205 to 206, somewhere in here. And like I said, nothing has changed here on the indicators. Moving over to breadth. Breadth continues to fade here as we expected. Continue to see selling, momentum bearish, RSI bearish across the board on these, which is why we knew if any rallies were to come through today, we expected them to break down because we knew this breadth breakdown was starting to follow through to the downside. The move yesterday was aggressive, and we did get that follow through here today. And then moving over to bonds. Bonds had a little bit of an up move, up just 0.25% or so on JNK. TLT had an up move of about 0.5%. We've been saying buy this zone in here. We didn't quite get to the 82.60 level, but buying bonds in here, I think, is a good long-term strategy. Can we go too much lower? Not really. Maybe in the short term, but over the long term, I still look at this as a nice opportunity, and it continues to look like a good one for me. Moving over to the VIX here, you can see momentum continues to swing to the bull side. Hit that 21 EMA, went a little bit higher here today, held a higher low as well, held above that 20 level. So everything for me says this should swing at least to the 25 area, potentially into this 28 area. I want to extend this out here a little. Somewhere in there, consolidation of trend lines in here, 27 to 28. Maybe as high as 29. Moving over to my accounts, I didn't do anything at all here today. You can see I lost about $100. We finished up just about $100, so that makes sense. Expecting this to continue to sell off, and you can see it's actually down a little bit more after hours, so tomorrow should get some more follow through to the downside. Still pretty bearish going into tomorrow's session with my positions and on my thesis. Let me know down in the comment section what you thought of the Supreme Court ruling. Should they have been a little bit more firm, or was that kind of ambiguity okay with you? Otherwise, like and subscribe. If you got any value out of this video, make sure you hit the bell so you don't miss out on any future episodes. Of course, none of this is financial advice. This is all for entertainment purposes. Good luck in your trading and have a great day.